He reached to return her blade, only to find it searing his flesh as her army trembled and fled. The battlefield was quiet, too quiet for a place that had just witnessed the fall of a dynasty. Ash drifted through the violet skies of Sarinthia Prime, painting streaks of dying fire across the horizon. The war was over. The last of the Velar Dominion's banners lay in ruin, their once golden sigils blackened by plasma fire. Sergeant Eliasrin trudged through the haze, his boots sinking into the charred soil. His pulse scanner blinked faintly, picking up residual life signs. Faint, fading. He didn't know why he was still here. The human fleet had withdrawn 2 hours ago. The ceasefire had been declared. But Elias had seen her fall, the alien commander whose sword shone brighter than the suns above. He found her half-buried beneath broken armor, silver blood seeping into the dirt. Her name had echoed across battle reports and whispered legends alike. Commander Lysera of the Seventh Flame, leader of the Velar's last vanguard. Her people called her the Radiant Fong, the woman whose sword was said to burn through falsehood itself. Elias knelt beside her. She wasn't dead.
Not yet.
The blade still rested beside her hand, sleek, curved, and pulsing faintly as though alive. When he reached for it, his gloves hissed. Heat, sudden and blinding, surged through his palm. He dropped it instantly, breath catching in his throat. The sword pulsed again, rejecting him, an unworthy hand. Lysera's eyes flickered open. The deep, luminous gold of her gaze met his. "Don't," she rasped, her voice like fractured glass. "It's bound to my blood, to my vow." Elias steadied himself. "You need help. Medical evac." "Help." Her lip curled weakly. "You invaded my world." He could have argued. He could have told her he never wanted this war, that humans had come to Sarinthia for peace before politics turned everything to fire. But the truth was simpler, and far more painful. He'd seen her troops fight to defend civilians, not conquer them. And somewhere between battles, the lines of right and wrong had blurred beyond recognition. "I came to end the fighting," he said softly. "Not to watch you die." Lysera's breathing was ragged. "Then leave me my sword. Let me die with it." He stared at the weapon again. Its faint hum carried something strange, almost alive. It vibrated in tune with her weakening heartbeat. He swallowed. "If I leave you here, your body will be torn apart by scavengers. That's not a warrior's end." Something flickered behind her eyes. Pity? Respect? It was impossible to tell. "Why do you care, human?" "Because no one deserves to be forgotten," Elias said. He lifted the blade again, ignoring the searing pain now crawling through his skin. The mark it left glowed like molten veins across his palm. He grit his teeth and wrapped the cloth of his uniform around the hilt. This time, the sword didn't reject him. It hummed low, resonant, and accepting. Lysera's eyes widened. "That's not possible," she whispered. "It chose you." Before he could answer, the air cracked with movement. Shapes emerged through the smoke. Velar soldiers, her warriors, ragged and weary. Their armor still gleamed faintly under the fading sun. When they saw Elias holding their commander's sword, they froze. Then, as one, they dropped their weapons. Some fell to their knees. Others turned and fled into the ruins. Terror, pure, unfiltered terror, rippled through them. Lysera's breath hitched. "They think you've been chosen by the flame. They believe the blade burns any who are false to its vow." Elias looked down at his scorched hand. The burn was deep, but the pain had faded into a strange, pulsating warmth. "And what vow is that?" "To protect life, even the life of an enemy." She stared at him for a long moment. "You shouldn't have touched it. You've bound yourself to something you don't understand." "Then explain it to me," he said quietly. Her gaze softened. The flame isn't a weapon. It's a covenant. Every wielder carries the memories of those who came before. You've taken my burden. Elias felt the air grow heavier around him. The sword pulsed once, then images flooded his mind. 1,000 battles, 1,000 deaths. The cries of the fallen echoed in languages he didn't know. For a heartbeat, he wasn't Elias Wren. He was every warrior who had ever held the flame. When it ended, he staggered back, gasping. Lysera's eyes closed again, her voice barely audible. Now you see why I wanted it to end. He pressed a hand to his chest, steadying his breath. You fought to protect your people. And failed, she murmured. Now you will carry the vow forward. Maybe your kind can do better. He shook his head. You'll live. I'll get you out. But Lysera's heartbeat had already stilled. Her hand slipped from his grasp. The golden light in her eyes dimmed, fading like the last ember of a dying fire. Elias knelt there for a long time, surrounded by silence and ash. The sword glowed faintly in his hand, its hum now soft and mournful. Then the ground trembled. From the distance came the deep, rolling thunder of transport engines, human reinforcements. The ceasefire patrol. When they landed, they found Elias standing over the fallen commander, holding her blade upright before him. The men hesitated. None dared to approach. One of the officers called out, Sergeant, put the weapon down. Elias didn't move. His voice, when it came, was calm but distant. This isn't just a weapon anymore. He placed the blade gently beside Lysera's body, wrapping her cold hands around it. It belongs with her. As the soldiers watched, the sword's light dimmed completely, its glow sinking into the soil like a setting sun. Elias turned away. The burn on his palm still pulsed faintly. When he looked closely, he saw faint lines forming, a sigil he didn't recognize, glowing gold against his skin. Weeks later, after the war trials and debriefings, Elias returned to Earth. The nightmares never stopped. Sometimes, when he closed his eyes, he saw her world again. Violet skies, broken towers, and that haunting melody of the flame. One evening, while he walked along the river near the old memorial gardens, the air shimmered faintly. A golden spark flickered before him, like a whisper of the sword's light. And then he heard her voice, faint but clear. Protect life, even the life of an enemy. The mark on his hand glowed again, soft and steady. He didn't know if it was real or just memory. But somewhere, deep within, he felt the covenant still alive. The war had ended, yet something new had begun.